Hey guys, so now that we've gotten a deep chunk of story completed up to this point, I kind of wanted to take a step back because I did notice that there's an awful lot of stuff in our database section of, I guess, our character dashboard. And I feel like, especially after such a satisfying mission that we just completed with River Ward, I wanted to take the time to actually read through some more lore and actually read through. I call them codexes. It's probably not what they call it in this game, but for any of you who've played in any of the BioWare games, it's basically like data dump lore stuff. So that is what this video is going to be dedicated towards. So if that is something you're interested in, I am very happy to have you hang out with me as I read each one of these out loud. If this doesn't seem like something that is particularly, fascinating to you, by all means, skip over this video and move on to the next in order to see me continue on with the actual gameplay. You will not hurt my feelings whatsoever. So, Mitch Anderson. Mitch is a member of the Bright family, a group of nomads in the Aldo Caldos nation. During the Unification War, along with a number of other Aldo Caldos, Mitch fought on the side of the Free States with the Panzer Boys. Interesting, he's a war vet. A division of elite combat AVs and armored vehicles. After coming back from the front, Mitch helped the Aldo Caldos with their smuggling operation, a much better fit for him than fighting on the battlefield. He's good friends with Pan Am and is one of the most respected members of the family. Loyal to his friends, uncompromising with everyone else. Jefferson Perales. Lawyer, former district attorney, and now a counselor in the Night City Council, he is currently running for mayor of Night City. Jefferson was born into a poor family and was mostly raised by the streets. Despite that, he managed to get a scholarship and eventually a degree in law, thanks to his discipline, his intelligence, and maybe a bit of luck. Jefferson is a dyed-in-the-wool politician who can bring himself down or up to anyone's level, although he can be forceful when things get serious. In his heart of hearts, he is an idealist who just wants every poor kid to get an education and have a better life. Elizabeth Perales. The other half of the Perales dynamic duo, Elizabeth got her law degree at the Asukaga Law School at Berkeley University, where she met Jefferson. She practiced law for a few years before she quit to support her husband's campaign for mayor of Night City's full-time. Elizabeth is remarkably poised, self-possessed, and emotionally restrained. Her natural home is a courtroom. In spite of that, she comes across as genuine and sincere. She's uniquely capable of juggling her husband's idealism and the harsh reality of Night City, which is probably how she survived in politics. That does take skill. Elizabeth and Jefferson also have a grown-up daughter, Xochi. I didn't know about that, actually. Anthony Harris. Anthony Harris, a man in his 40s, average Night citizen, no criminal record. Then a routine vehicle inspection revealed him to be a dangerous serial kidnapper. Not only was a dying teenager pumped full of hormones and anabolic steroids found in his trunk, but also the possessions and genetic material of several other missing boys. The media dubbed him Peter Pan, unfortunately for the authorities and victims' families. Harris was shot in the head while in detention. He slipped into a coma, which prevented the NCPD from interrogating him to learn the location of the missing teenagers, including Randy, River Ward's nephew. Well, that's old news because we saved day. Joshua Stevenson, imprisoned for armed robbery and first-degree murder. Joshua Stevenson had his 5 seconds of fame upon converting to Christianity. After a series of late-night show appearances and televised debates, some still doubt whether Stevenson's conversion was genuine. Weldon Holt, Lucius Rhine's successor and current mayor of the city. He's a seasoned political player who has been eyeing the mayoral position for years, before it was abruptly handed down to him after Rhine's tragic death. Holt knows exactly which strings to pull in the city and which ones to leave to the corpse. Like his predecessor, Weldon, Holt not only signs deals with corporate execs, but doesn't mind tossing in a few favors. Generous tax breaks, anyone? Sure, it gets him a lot of political flack, but he's convinced that that's just the way it's done in Night City. I'm thinking we probably are going to be a kingmaker between Weldon Holt and and Jefferson Perales. At face value, Jefferson seems like the better choice. At face value. But we shall see. I think we this next mission that I'm probably going to be doing is going to be, helping out the Paralysis again, and maybe we'll see if there's anything different, if there's more behind there, supposedly, if there's like a facade, which is what Johnny Silverhand seems to think. It's possible. I mean, I'm trying not to be, what do you call it? I'm trying not to be prejudiced, like politician prejudice, because, there's people always talk about how all politicians are like corrupt and schemy and all that good stuff. But even if that was the case, even if I were to believe that was true, which as an idealist and an optimist, I don't believe that's true. But even if I were to believe that's true, some people are way, way more or less corrupt and sketchy than others. I want to prioritize world because I feel like this is, when you're talking about story, this is probably the most important thing for me to read up on. So I'll start with this, and hopefully after that, I'll get a very, very big picture of the world that is Cyberpunk. So let's talk about the Valentinos. Loud vests, flashy gold cyberware. I gotta admit, these guys definitely look like they are crazy, crazy good fashionistas. Flashy gold cyberware, heavy jewelry, tattoos of Santa Muerte and Jesus Malaverde. You have a hard time mistaking a Valentino when you saw one. Inspired by Chicano culture, their expressive style makes them seem like something straight out of a Mexican barrio. But if you look closer, you'll see anyone can join the gang, no matter their background or ethnicity. That's really cool. I like that. I like that they don't, only stick with people who are of Mexican descent. The Valentinos are strictly territorial, operating in Haywood, which is where the Wells lives. Oh, Jackie. And Jackie used to be in the Valentinos as well. They're tied to the local community by nearly familial bonds of friendship and by biz. The Valentinos run completely legal businesses like restaurants, nightclubs, and auto shops, but all are fronts for their other dirtier biz of money laundering, smuggling, stolen vehicles or guns, human trafficking, and gang warfare. The NCPD. The Night City Police Department. Actually, was there anything else? Oh, here we go. The Valentino's friendship is priceless, and it will follow you to the grave, so you might want to think twice before riding with them. NCPD, the Night City Police Department, the law enforcement this city needs and deserves. Now they say the best way to know a city is through its police force. The NCPD is an underfunded, under-equipped, understaffed organization where every officer puts their life on line each day. It's no surprise then that most badges in the NCPD have lost faith in their thankless jobs. That is such a shame. An atmosphere of apathy and corruption pervades the department, while many officers on the street react with brutality and aggression due to the stress and nature of their work. That's tough, because it's like it's an awful chicken and the egg problem, because if it weren't for the fact that they were underfunded, under-equipped, understaffed, like their morale would probably be higher. They would not be as corrupt, and not be as like taking out maybe their frustration on the people that they are apprehending, etc., etc., etc. But at the same time, that's not an excuse, and their corruption is just, causing, I'm sure, like a backlash with the citizens, and which thus makes them underfunded, under-equipped, understaffed, because they're not like seen very positively in the eyes of many members of the community. So it's just an ongoing cycle. That's really a shame. Nevertheless, some badges still wholeheartedly believe in defending ordinary citizens and making sure that urban jungle doesn't descend into complete chaos. For them, a badge still means something in this city, and a gun is still a tool to protect and serve. Run into one of these zealots and most gang goons will get on their knees, hands behind their head, refuse, and they are almost certain to get a bullet. Of course, like everywhere else, real power is held in the hands of corporations. The police force's official sponsor is Night Corps, but the NCPD is also beholden to the interests of Arasaka and Militech. Oftentimes, when official investigations get stonewalled, the NCPD will hire mercenaries on the sly to obtain evidence in areas under corporate jurisdiction that forbid any police presence. None of that changes the fact that when people are in trouble, they call the NCPD, who arrive on the scene to protect and serve to the best of their abilities. Drones. Drones are the perfect machines, light, agile, cheap, and ideally suited for exploration. Like almost all modern technologies, they were originally designed in military labs, only enjoying widespread use after entering a global market. Their versatility ensures that any user will find a use for them, from espionage all the way to package deliveries, or simply as a children's toy, which is very true today. Coupled with a cam-link headset, they're perhaps the closest thing some people have to flying. Arasaka Corporation. The Arasaka Corporation is the longest operating megacorp in the world. Its origins date back to the mid-20th century when a young Saburo Arasaka inherited his father's nascent company, transforming it into a global leader in security. Today, the Arasaka Corporation is known as the Shinra Corporation, if you're in Final Fantasy, as an arms manufacturing giant that has had its hands in military conflicts all across continents. Due to the latest advances in technology and the company's seemingly unlimited capital, Arasaka is poised to achieve its political goals on a massive scale. Arasaka's soldiers and agents are known not only in their excellent training, but also for their steadfast loyalty to corporate values and CEO Saburo Arasaka himself, who, despite his advancing age, continues to govern the corporation with an iron fist. Even discussions of a succession plan must be kept to a whisper, because no one would dare openly question the authority of the world's greatest weapons empire. Almost no one. I'm curious if the voice actors of the main Arasaka characters, like Saburo Arasaka, or anyone really, in the Arasaka Corporation, I'm curious if any of the voice actors are also of Japanese descent. The new United States of America. Oh, it's an interesting flag. Interesting. That's not still 50 stars though. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So are there only 14 states now? Are there only 14? The original United States of America, divided by bitter internal conflicts and stretched apart by dissident forces, finally collapsed into a potpourri of warring states and sprawling, abandoned territories. But when the dust finally settled and disaster became the new normal, the old dreams of unity and national pride were once more united under a new and improved Star-Spangled Banner, behind which stands the new United States of America, or NUSA. Rosalind Myers, the union's incumbent president, is hell-bent on bringing the rest of the country in line, no matter the cost. Myers' government is supported militarily by Militech, so much so, in fact, that it's hard to tell where the state ends and the corporation begins. In that respect, not much has changed. Well, that's kind of disappointing. Corporations. In the latter half, so we've got Arasaka, Militech, Trauma Team, Kang Tao, Biotechnica, and Zetatech. In the latter half of the 21st century, corporations are international financial behemoths, megacorporations. They have their own political aims, even waging more or less open conflicts against the competition. It's no exaggeration to say that corporations are what shapes the reality and life of an ordinary person. Just take a look around. Every object in your home came off of some production line in a factory belonging to one of the megacorps. Another one delivers electricity to your home, so you can watch TV news on a media conglomerate's channel, which in turn has corporations as a majority of its shareholders. Everything you drink, even to a certain extent the air you breathe, it all comes from global concerns. Even if you're blissfully unaware of this, the corporations still influence every aspect of your life. They're at your fingertips. Ah, those fingers are chrome? What manufacturer? What manufacturer? Exactly. Yeah, like this is a huge part of the political structure of the cyberpunk world is these corporations. Fixers. Now, you could take gigs yourself, but when you get hazed once or twice, or get a dose of lead in lieu of payment, you might start looking around for a good fixer. Prove yourself, and you never have to worry about your next gig again. The fixer will choose your crew, negotiate a decent payout, after all, he or she is taking a cut, and pull you out of whatever stuff you might land in on the job, unless it was your gonk fault, in which case, you're on your own. Fixers are organizers, agents, go-betweens. They know the latest word on the street, they know who pays right, and whose gigs stink from a mile away. Each one has his or her own way of getting things done, but they all follow a certain code of honor. If you work for one, they'll never leave you high and dry. Of course, this code goes both ways. Go ahead, try and haze Wakako, Okada, or Padre. See what happens. Maybe not. How about we not? The Nomads, Wraiths, Outlaws, Aldo Caldos, the Backers. The first Nomads were farmers, forced to leave their land by a series of natural disasters, wars, and corporate machinations. They moved out, gathering in larger and larger groups, hoping to find a better home for their families. But what they saw on their journey across the state convinced them they were better off staying on the move. Historically, the Nomads are divided into 7 nations, such as Snake Nation, the Aldo Caldos, and Jades, and each of which divided into clans, and finally into individual families. So which one is the Fire Nation? Nomads travel with their entire families in search of gainful employment. They rebuilt cities and factories after the collapse, while also playing an important role in creating the Maglev network. Some clans take jobs from corporations, seasonal ones of course, so as not to stay too long in one place, while others work for local communities. Nomads value the family and follow their own unique code, which place loyalty to the clan above all else. So, for them to be nomads, so is my understanding is that they don't stay in one place. They journey around the continent. I gotcha. That makes sense. The Scavengers. You could call them grave robbers, were it not for the fact that they never wait for a body to reach the graveyard, nor for it to be actually dead. Oh, the Scavengers. These are the people that we first were introduced to at the beginning of the game with our first playable gig with Jackie. Oh, Jackie, I miss you. If you've got tech, the Scavengers specialize in acquiring high-quality implants by whatever means necessary. If you've got tech that's as expensive as a moderately sized mansion in North Oak, you're asking for trouble. That's why you want to make sure those implants can make themselves useful in a dark, rainy alleyway, or that trauma team will come for you instead of a shady-looking guy with a black bag and a thick Eastern European accent. Ripper Doc. A Ripper Doc lies somewhere between a surgeon, a techie, and tattoo artist. If you're lucky, you pay them a visit and get yourself chipped with the latest implant on the market because you can afford it. If you're unlucky, a friend will drop you off at their clinic in pieces and hopefully they can put you back together. People usually have their favorite clinics and trusted rippers that know their bodies better than they do themselves. It's definitely not worth going out on a limb, no pun intended, and looking for the cheapest deal, especially in Little China or past Rancho Coronado, where some a-holes will chip you a second or third hand piece of junk with a nasty virus thrown in free of charge. Corp obviously don't have to hunt for the best deals because they have their own corporate rippers. Their high quality services are free, their clinics smell like a hospital wards, and they have the picture-perfect smiles of brain dance stars. The whole package. What's not to like? Unless, of course, you don't trust the people you work for enough to let them have access to your brain. The Trauma Team. 7 minutes or a refund. That's the Trauma Team guarantee. The type of guarantee that warms the policyholder's heart as they begin to bleed out in the alley. Assuming you haven't lost consciousness from blood loss, don't worry, as you can count the seconds of life slipping from you, because help is on the way. First, you'll see a heavily armored AV descend from the sky using its heavy machine gun turrets to mow down the bees who are trying to kill you. Then you'll see the medics, your guardian angels clad in green and white and armed to the teeth. Once the Trauma Team staff puts you back together, you'll get the bill for your copay. It may have a long list of zeros attached to it, but you'll still sign up for a half-a-year policy extension with a smile on your lips. Trauma Team provides medical, paramedical, and extraction services in all the world's major cities. Their services are highly respected and sought after by those who can afford them. In fact, this may be the only corporation that enjoys such a high level of public trust. They don't play politics, they don't ask questions. As long as you pay your dues, your life is in their hands. Your life is safe in their hands, no matter how dire the situation. Yeah. The Netrunners. In 2077, the use of computer technology has truly become universal. Some use a PDA, others personal computers, still others a neural processor. Regular Janes and Joes know how to use these systems to access information, communicate, even fight. But there are others who can use the same tech to work wonders. They're called blood mages. A blood mage knows the ins and outs of computer systems, the programming languages, how to write a mod or killer virus. Deck in hand, they're just as dangerous as a corporate soldier armed to the teeth. Many blood mages are free agents working only for themselves, but a few have signed their own pacts with the megacorps and work to keep corporate data fortress solid and impenetrable. Today, each and every corporation has a veritable army of blood mages on its payroll. Blood mages were once considered the rulers of cyberspace, using their skulljacks to roam a vast global network. They also needed special suits to cool their bodies, although a tub full of ice would do for penniless punks. But this era ended with the cataclysm wrought by the greatest blood mage of all, Rash Bartmoss. Cyberspace became a land of demons, cut off by the nearly impenetrable Blackwall. There's that name again, Blackwall. Mercenaries. Let's say you've got a serious problem, and it just so happens you'd rather not get the police involved, nor your buddies at the Corps who usually deal with this stuff. Maybe you were directly responsible for a shipment that mysteriously disappeared, or you'd like to see somebody else's shipment disappear. Somebody knows too much about you, someone chooses to work for a wrong Corps, or maybe someone has suddenly become no longer necessary. In that case, you need someone to handle things for you. A techie, solo, blood mage, or someone with more specialized skills, you need a mercenary. Mercs typically work with fixers, a go-between who slap together a team of pros with the right skills for the client. Fixers will take care of all the messy intricacies of dirty biz. You won't even have to meet the merc doing it for you, if that's what you want. The job will get done quickly and discreetly, for the right price, of course. Most mercs start out on the street, taking whatever comes their way until they can catch a fixer's attention. Only a few of them end up like Morgan Blackhand or Andrew Boa Boa Wayland. That is to say, legends. Militech. Militech International Armaments is one of the largest, most powerful corporations in the world. Known mainly in the NUSA for their support of the federal government, they provide both manpower and arms to the regime, including weapons and specialist military gear. Militech's contract for the NUSA is controversial in some political circles. Militech has been accused of attempting to create a monopoly, while the clear connections between former Militech CEO and current NUSA President Rosalind Myers and the corporation's board have only exacerbated corporate and diplomatic tensions. Militech also operates in the private sector, providing security as well as defensive and offensive combat services. The corporation offers the clients the latest equipment, skilled staff, and trained, well-equipped agents to get the job done. In addition, the Megacorp also develops and produces its own firearms, drones, implants, even vehicles suitable for land, air, and sea combat. Melstrom, a gang that controls the districts of Watson and the Northside Industrial District. You can easily recognize them by their intimidating faceplates and hostile optic implants, which not only indicates their gang affiliation, but also their fetishization of cyberware and cyber modification. Looking at Melstrom, you might think, now those are some hella bold pioneers of transhumanism. If they were only testing the limits of the human body on themselves, then you'd be right. Sadly, they also like to conduct experiments on those unfortunate enough to cross their path. Melstrom is known for their exceptionally brutal and public gang executions. Combine that with illegal brain dance production and a manic fighting style, and you've got yourself a gang with a reputation as a band of lunatics on the verge of cyber psychosis. The truth is, there's nothing crazy about how Melstrom operates. At the end of the day, it's all about the biz. And the more rumors there are about them, the better. They are the creepiest ones of all. Relic. Secure your soul. Relic is an interface and component of Arasaka's experimental flagship project, publicly known as Secure Your Soul. It uses the concept of personality transferal by converting the data in the human nervous system into a digitized engram and stored as a construct in the Relic biochip. The purpose of Secure Your Soul is the ability, currently only available to the wealthiest clients, to communicate with deceased loved ones. Their personality constructs, which are preserved on the Relic biochip, mean that in practice, Death is no longer the ultimate barrier. However, it doesn't take a genius to realize that the potential for the Relic technology is much higher. Arasaka currently is not sharing any information on its further plans for the program. Pretty much like eternal life. Pretty much immortality. Brain Dance. As Brain Dance's popularity spread, public opinion divided into two camps, those who saw the new technology as a revelation, and those who saw it as a threat. Some predicted Brain Dance would save humanity as we know it, bringing an end to unnecessary conflict and ushering us into a new utopian age of mutual understanding and respect. After all, the argument went, if you look at yourself from your enemy's point of view, if you understand him deeply, and vice versa, he ceases to be your enemy. Others, however, foresaw a wave of new addictions, deepening isolation and societal division, even a crisis of identity. In the end, the market proved both views right. Brain Dance became an everyday product, another form of entertainment, but also a new form of surveillance. In essence, Brain Dance is the transfer of the conscious experiences of the person who recorded or scrolled them to one who relives them. The raw material must first be processed or edited before it can be used. The Mox. The youngest established gang in Night City, its beginnings date back to 2067, when the murder of a sex worker sparked riots that lasted days. The gang, formed out of protesters, attracted many others to its ranks for years after. The Mox is a motley crew of current and former sex workers, punks, freaks, and all kinds of outcasts. The gang's main headquarters is Lizzie's Bar, a brain dance club that serves as the Mox's main source of income. The gang's aesthetic is characterized by aggressive, kitsch-loud colors, plastic, and latex. I really, really love how diverse each of these gangs are. They just have their own sense of style and personality. I just love it. Whoops. The Kang Tao. Kang Tao is a Chinese company and one of the world's largest weapons manufacturers. For years now, Kang Tao has increasingly become a worthy competitor for Arasaka by introducing some of the most bleeding-edge technology the market has ever seen. The Megacore consistently surpasses client expectations for quality weapons and equipment that suits both military and paramilitary needs. But most notably, Kang Tao is widely recognized for its specialization in the development, patenting, and production of smart class or smart arse weaponry and weapon system. In this niche market, they are without equal. 6th Street. After the Fourth Corporate War, a large number of career soldiers were left without jobs or prospects. The most enterprising of them formed the 6th Street Gang. Not only do they boast veterans among their ranks, but also ex-police officers, former corporate security agents, and civilians who have had a crash course in combat training. Everyone and anyone who wants to bring order to this town. The end justifies the means, and the means usually involve robberies, extortion, arms dealing, and stealing cars. Their main turf is in Arroyo, but 6th Street's garages and bases of operation can also be found in other parts of the city. The Wraiths. The first and new Nomad codes elaborate the various reasons you might be expelled from your family, including share with others in your clan, or do not keep for yourself that which may help another in your clan. Reading those documents today, it's hard to fight the feeling that they were in different, happier times. These days, nomads are more often expelled from their families for murdering or raping a fellow family member, human trafficking, poisoning the water supply, or betrayal of the clan. And we have a word for those nomads: the Raffin Shiv. Once ousted, most Raffins still maintain their nomadic lifestyles. They form larger groups on the road, but nobody would call these groups family, not even in jest. The Raffin Shiv prowl the Badlands, ambushing unsuspecting travelers, corporal convoys, or even, and with particular relish, other nomad camps. A gang of Raffin Shiv even formed outside Night City's gates, the Wraiths. They're well organized, effective, and willing to do anything. After all, like all Raffins, they've got nothing left to lose. The Tiger Claws. Night City is a melting pot of cultures and ethnicities, though when it comes to its Asian demographic, the Chinese and Japanese influence is unmistakable, as are the Tiger Claws. As a gang, the Tiger Claws are well organized, efficient, and savvy, but also unpredictable. Their business decisions are purely rational, but when it comes to their enemies or a disloyal gang member, their methods can be shocking. The Tiger Claws mainly operate out of Japantown, Little China, Kabuki, and Charter Hill. Their main source of income are nightclubs, casinos, and brain dance bars. Night citizens love to have a good time. No other gang knows how to capitalize on that better than the Tigers. Mikoshi. Mikoshi is one of the most heavily guarded data fortresses in Arasaka and holds the digitized minds of clients from the Secure Your Soul program. For security reasons, information about the program is still classified by the corporation, and the physical location of Mikoshi is a closely guarded secret. Together, the smattering of access points nested in cyberspace. Among netrunners or blood mages who have breached Arasaka, there's a widespread belief that Mikoshi is a soul prison for the digitized victims of Soul Killer. Rumor has it that Arasaka uses the souls of captured netrunners to use them as data collectors, but so far no one has been able to verify this. So basically, Arasaka is Shang Tsung. Solo. Soldier, corporate bodyguard, cyber ninja, they can call themselves whatever they want, but to the rest of the world, they're simply solos. Solos are mercenaries who specialize in combat skills, whether on the battlefield or as a private hustle or hired muscle. I like that. They'll fight for corporate or government armies, private security companies, criminal organizations, even the police, but most prefer to earn their eddies on shorter-term jobs. We live in increasingly trying times, so solos have no shortage of opportunities. It's guaranteed work in a still-growing industry, but it does have its dark side. Every professional solo needs to keep up with trends and new tech and invest in better equipment, weapons, cyberware, gadgets, and supplements, which will ensure they stay smarter, faster, and stronger than their opponents. But they must also remain vigilant, as this push for progress can cross a line from which there is no return, according to official MaxTac data. Solos are the largest demographic in confirmed cyberpsychosis cases. That is interesting. Okay, still got quite a few more. Aldo Caldos, one of the oldest nomad nations founded by Juan Aldo Caldo, who fought a ruthless war at the tail end of the 1990s against the gangs ruling LA. He formed the Neighborhood Watch, which numbered 5,000 people by the time it left the city and was known for its emphasis on family values, in whose name Juan launched its uprising against ineffective police and corrupt media. The Aldo Caldos currently consist of a few dozen families spread out around America that are constantly on the move. Petrochem. Our planet moving forward, thanks to Petrochem. That commercial slogan is only half exaggerated. Thanks to its partnership with the bioengineering corporation Biotechnica, Petrochem converts genetically modified wheat grown on Biotechnica's millions of acres of farmland into the biofuel of the future, CHOOH2. In addition, it also has limited rights to grow its own modified grain. I'm wondering why it choot. Is that like choot? Shouldn't that be CHOH2? Yeah, like CHOH2 or something. Oh, CHO2H2 or something to that effect. In addition, it also has limited rights to grow its own modified grain. That means nobody can entirely avoid Petrochem. Though while their influence and resources shouldn't be overstated, their competitors are fully aware of Petrochem's economic and political power. If the megacorporation were able to monopolize fuel production in the country, Petrochem would call the shots on everything. That's why the corp doesn't skimp on its security, hiring the best industry counter-internal specialist or counter-intel specialists, and always stationed on high alert on attack. An attack could come from anywhere and at any time. Rocker Boy, a class of 21st century rebels who turned their music into a weapon and aimed it at corporations and the powers that be. They're unruly artists, street heroes, charismatic frontmen firing up thousands of fans at concerts that usually end up in riots. Their uncompromising attitude, politically radical lyrics, and performances has granted them their own sociological status. Their fingers are as dexterous on the frets as they are on their triggers when words and music aren't enough to get their message across. Johnny Silverhand set the bar for rocker boys, and not much has changed 50 years after his mysterious death. Rocker boys are still screaming their throats bloody about oppression by the system, although there are some, like Care Eurodyne, who are accused of selling out and abandoning punk rock disobedience for money and fame. Even if that were true, the world still needs its musical revolutionaries, and they're still among us. Maybe it's just starting to compose their first FU songs, or maybe they're about to stumble out of a seedy dive and throw down their gauntlet to the crops and the badges. But when they finally start making noise, that's when people will start to listen. Techies. That's me. You see a few odd nuts and bolts or scraps of metal, a good techie sees a work of art. You press a button and the device just works. A techie knows why and how to make it work better. Techies are the sort to cut their teeth on tech by taking it apart and putting it back together. They open an electric panel not only to know how to shut off the power, but also to send an elevator to a specific floor, reconnect alarm systems, or control a military bot from a safe remote distance. They're also needed wherever hardware meets soft, braindance editing also being one common example. Techies know it's not enough to have all the ones and zeros in the right place. You need something to feed the code into. They can calibrate implants with ease, understand the pages and pages of minute specifications, and use this knowledge to their advantage. Most people think they don't need a techie, that their once-a-month Ripperdoc tune-ups are more than enough. Then they've got their back against a wall, bombs are exploding next door, and pop, something breaks. Suddenly a techie seems handy indeed. Netwatch. Netwatch was founded as a European net security company, but its success quickly transformed it into an international agency sponsored by corporations. The Net Police specializes in securing data fortresses, pursuing unlicensed AIs, neutralizing hacks, removing software threats, and apprehending troublesome netrunners. Netwatch also maintains the Blackwall, a barrier of ICE that guards against rogue, post-crash AIs, corporate propaganda, likes to portray Netwatch agents as defenders of humanity, without which the net would have long ago collapsed. The truth is that it's not so hard to become a public enemy in the eyes of Netwatch. Go ahead, jack in and read the security protocols sent to every user on the net. The moment you step over the line, some eager rookie in the nearest Netwatch division will have a file on you in no time. All that glitters is gold. Glitter is a highly addictive psychedelic drug and recent arrival on Night City's streets. The new substance quickly drew Night City's full attention. Further, it's truly strong stuff, even for the booster and braindance glutted residents of the Night City. Second, glitter is illegal, immediately giving it the irresistible aura of forbidden fruit. Finally, glitter kills. One off dose or weak nervous system and glitter will have those neurons firing white hot, hence the name perhaps. Death is inevitable. Don't do drugs, kids, boys and girls. Wildlife in Night City. Animals are a rare sight in Night City, but it wasn't always like that. Once upon a time, you could hear the cries of seagulls on the marina. Oh, that's why the one guy in the musical really wanted to see a seagull, because he hardly ever gets to see them in the city, I guess. Everything changed in the second half. Once in a time, you could hear the cries of seagulls at the marina, swat your way through swarms of flies at the bazaar, and best of all, stepped in dog stuff at the park. Everything changed in the second half of the 21st century when the city was brought to a standstill by animal-borne diseases. In 2051, 7,000 victims. 2059, 10,000. 2061, 12,000. The panicked city council decided to eliminate all birds in the city, while exterminators started using military equipment for traps and fumigation. Personal pets could be kept, though owners were saddled with huge tax bills. Rev Courier Services. Rev Courier Services is a shipping corporation that operates on all continents, providing transport services for both commercial and individual clients. Their fleet consists of armored trucks, freighters, and aircraft capable of carrying high-value cargo, but the RCS pledge states that all cargo is sacred. Whether it's luxury limousine destined for an African billionaire's estate, or pear cabbage of moon cheese and banana butter bears, a grandmother from Vista del Rey sent her grandson for Valentine's Day. While the limo could be transported on a massive freighter and the box of treats by scooter delivery, they both have one thing in common. They'll arrive in the right hands. Of course, RCS cannot give their full guarantee, as the shipping industry is a major target of piracy and theft. Still, in such cases, the company offers full compensation for stolen goods. Some of RC's largest shipping vessels are protected by outsourced security, often mercenaries, while presence is often deterrent enough for would-be aggressors. A vital service offered by RCS is physical data transfers for data that's too precious to upload to the net. Data couriers number among most experienced professionals, and damage or loss of shipment almost never occurs. Cyber Psychosis. As the trauma team medical docs define it, cyberpsychosis is a collective term for all psychotic and anxiety-related personality disorders caused by hardware implanted in the body and any and all behavioral mods, including software. We all know someone whose neighbor took the chrome a little too far. Then he left home one day and with a gun and opened fire in a crowd. Or maybe said neighbor didn't want to cough up the cred for a good ripper, so they started suffering from nightmares and hearing voices once the hormone blockers were in, then lost it. Some call cyberpsychosis a disease wrought by social inequality. Others say it's the price to be paid for an unhealthy love of technology. Still others think it's complete BS. That is, until its neighbors shouting up the hood and their fingers dialing max, shooting the hood and their fingers dialing max tack. The Unification War, or the Metal Wars. The Unification War, sometimes called the Metal Wars, was a series of armed conflicts spanning from January 2069 to June 2070. From January 2069 to June 2070. It was fought between the NUSA, the New United States of America, and the Free States, supported by Militech and Arasaka, respectively. The conflict's name differs depending on who you ask. NUSA/Militech supports call it the Unification War, whereas Arasaka Corps and certain free states have preferred the name Metal Wars. North California, or NorCal, stood on the side of the free states, while South California, SoCal, stood by the NUSA. Note, Night City remained independent throughout the conflict. The war was finally concluded by a ceasefire signed in Arvin, SoCal. However, both sides declared victory for themselves and found the terms of peace largely unsatisfactory, causing many to believe the outbreak of another armed conflict is only a matter of time. The free states were obliged to freight their independent status. I hope that it's not a matter of time, but we'll see. The free states were obliged to forfeit their independent status, albeit only on paper, as they would remain autonomous in practice. Ultimately, the NUSA chose to accept the conditions of this peaceful resolution rather than risk escalation of war across the globe, resulting in potentially millions of casualties and, more importantly, a deep recession. Arasaka and Militech suffered heavier loss than any other corporation or government body involved in the conflicts. Both megacorps lost billions of euro dollars in military equipment. And because Militech had their own boots on the ground, they additionally lost the lives of thousands of soldiers, whom they staunchly refer to as independent consultants. The Arasaka headquarters bombing. The only undisputable fact in this story is the date, 20th of August 2023, the day a nuclear explosion obliterated Corpo Plaza and a large chunk of city center. The rest is pure speculation, gossip, lies, and conspiracy theories, all the way from the number of casualties to those responsible for the attack. The most famous version, widely disseminated by corporate PR machines and trickled down through the media, tells of an unidentified terrorist group that was responsible for an armed assault on Arasaka Tower, followed by the explosion. But does anyone really take corporate press seriously anymore? Take some of the more intriguing theories circulating on the streets today, that it was an inside job in an attempt to escalate and conflict between Arasaka and Militech, followed by an elaborately orchestrated cover-up, or the result of a failed experiment that spiraled out of control in a secret lab somewhere under Arasaka Tower. How much of it is true? Most likely we will never find out, and even if we did, it wouldn't bring back the victims of the tragedy. I believe that in this lore, the events of September 11th never happened. I believe. I could be wrong. Combat Cab. In a city overrun with gang violence, shootings, and cyber psycho attacks, security is at a premium. Anyone traveling to, or more likely passing through, the city's sketchiest neighborhoods always dial the number for Combat Cab. As detailed on their site, Combat Cab's fleet of heavily armored vehicles can protect passengers from all weapons across the caliber spectrum. The fact that they are the only transportation company operating within the combat zone should speak for itself. That's really interesting, considering how in one of my side missions I was able to take down one of the combat cabs with my handgun. So I don't know about that. In recent years, the Delamain Cab Services has risen to claim the top market share in the heart of the city, but public data arms financed by Combat Cab can still be found. North California. Since the end of the Unification War, North California has struggled to lead the Free States in their opposition to the NUSA's agenda and reintegration. As a leader in the worlds of finance and biotech, NorCal maintains one of the largest armed forces of any free state. However, even their substantial cities, too A substantial might is too little to challenge the federal government in open conflict. Instead, NorCal stations its forces along the border, with the highest concentrations of troops being placed on the border with South California, a state which has declared its allegiance to the NUSA government. Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence began as simple algorithms meant to simplify our lives. With time, some became convincingly capable of simulating humans with programmed personalities one could even grow to like. Once they were also weaponized AIs, essentially military technology used to break through enemy security in the net. But then Blood Mage Rash Bartmoss arrived on the scene, and with him the infamous data crash. Bartmoss's target was the corporate data fortresses. His goal to steal the data held within and unleash it into the net. What he achieved was a full-blown war that would transform cyberspace for good. As a direct result, AIs began to mutate, becoming deadly dangerous. Thus, rogue AIs were born. At that point, Netwatch runners were forced to design the Blackwall, a powerful artificial intelligence with only one job: keep the rogue AIs out of the remnants of the net that survived the crash. Officially, nobody ever ventures behind the Blackwall. Unofficially, well, believe what you like. I have a feeling we're gonna probably run into the Blackwall. So, yeah, these say that they were not red, but they were. So that's what I have for World. I may do some more reading of these things, if not in the next video, but the video after. We shall see. But yeah, I think that's it for now. So thanks again, guys, for watching me read through all this lore. I most likely will read through more lore in the next video, but we'll see. Until next time, everybody, love yourselves and love each other.